Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have a couple of accounts of encounters with skinwalkers and dogmen. In the first account, we have this upright coyote that might possibly be a skinwalker, and the next article, folks, we have an encounter with another terrifying dogman. Let's get into this article. Upright walking coyote encounter in Estancia, New Mexico reveals startling supernatural behavior. In the early 1980s, a resident of Estancia, New Mexico, repeatedly encountered a coyote that walked upright like a human, hopped fences with ease, and displayed a strange, sentient awareness that defied natural explanation. These signs remained a closely guarded family secret for decades out of fear of ridicule. Now, the witness's child has come forward to preserve the account and draw attention to a pattern emerging across the American Southwest. Something in this region behaves like a coyote, but moves with intelligence that feels far beyond the natural world. Could this be an account of a skinwalker, folks? Because it has been said that, skinwalkers seem to take the forms of coyotes and wolves a lot. But let's read on, folks, because that was quite the beginning. Hello, Lon. I recently watched a YouTube video from Beyond Creepy about an upright walking coyote in Estancia, New Mexico. My mom witnessed this phenomena. She often told me about a coyote she observed walking on two legs, hopping fences, and exhibiting behavior that seemed downright supernatural. My family has experienced strange occurrences over the years, including various sightings of things that could only exist in your worst nightmares. I believe these sightings occurred in the early 1980s, following a similar pattern to the last story. The town has around 1,300 residents, maybe a bit more even today, but I feel compelled to share this story so it doesn't fade away with time. Of course, these sightings frightened her, but I remember my mother saying that the coyote would stop and make eye contact with her before casually walking away as if everything was normal. This happened more than once, and over time, my mother seemed to become accustomed to it. She realized it meant no harm, hence the strange but familiar connection of locking eyes. Well, this entity sounds like it isn't a skinwalker, because in those stories the witnesses say they feel sheer fear at the presence of it. So maybe it was a friendly dogman, perhaps? Let's read on and maybe we can confirm it. I remember this story well because she shared it with me many times over the 28 years I knew her. I could ask her to elaborate on the circumstances again, but I've covered the gist of it. The reason we never came forward is the ridicule we might face. However, after hearing a lady's story from Oklahoma, I felt it was time to share ours. Feel free to email me back if you have any questions. I know how these things sound, but I firmly believe that just because you can't touch it doesn't mean it's not there. Thank you for letting me share this story with you, J.A. J.A.'s story is very interesting, folks. Could this have actually been an encounter with a skinwalker? But usually in those accounts, the entity are downright evil in the description that the witnesses give, folks. So maybe this was just another encounter with a dogman, perhaps? Maybe. Either way, there's also some commentary notes. Let's get into those now as well. This account fits a recognizable Southwest pattern involving bipedal canid entities that appear to oscillate between natural and seemingly conscious behavior. The repeated eye contact and calm departure suggests a non-predatory intelligence and possibly a familiarity with the witness's presence. Early 1980 sightings of upright coyotes and wolf-like beings have been documented in New Mexico, Arizona, and West Texas, including similar reports of fence hopping, silent movement, and a sense of purposeful observation. These characteristics are unusual for natural coyotes and may indicate either an ultra-terrestrial mimic capable of adopting biological forms or an interdimensional cryptid that intermittently interacts with human environments. The mother's evolving comfort level and the entity's consistent non-aggression suggests a stable pattern of interaction rather than a chance anomaly. Indeed, this entity was non-aggressive and didn't do anything untoward to the witness here, folks. So maybe it really was some friendly entity. Could it have possibly been an ultra-terrestrial, some kind of entity that naturally has existed alongside mankind for centuries, and maybe that's a reason why this entity was so friendly, perhaps? Or do you think it was some sort of interdimensional interloper, maybe intersecting with our reality only for a temporary time and had no reason to basically be aggressive, perhaps? Maybe. Either way, folks, we have another cryptid story involving upright canine cryptids. This time, though, I'm pretty sure it's just basically a dogman account. But not any ordinary dogman account, folks, because there are multiple entities in this story, and they show some level of intelligence. But then again, we'll read on and find out all about that, folks. So let's read on. In November 2010, I received the following email from Mike. He describes an encounter with an unknown creature in an undisclosed area near Sheboygan, Michigan, northern Michigan. Let's get into the actual story now, folks. Hey, I'm Mike from the Sheboygan, Michigan area. This is true, what I am about to describe. On November 24th, 2010, two of my friends and I went out at night around 12 a.m. We were not hunting, but had weapons. We were looking for a spot to set up our blinds for the muzzle loader season when we crossed from a field with tons of deer bedding. We came into another field with none whatsoever. We continued through this field and came across a game trail. We decided to venture down this trail into the woods. We got maybe 300 yards back in it, and started hearing heavy breathing and snapping sounds in the thick brush to our right. We thought maybe coyotes, but we got to a corner and were stopped in our tracks. In front of us, maybe 60 yards away, was something blacker than the woods, standing on 2 feet and standing between 6'8" and 7'4". We slowly turned away and backtracked. Before we got to the field, the same thing was in front of us again. We turned around for a second, then turned back. It was gone. And so far, folks, it doesn't sound like it's anything more than maybe an animal, but they did say that it seemed to basically be, on 2 feet. But let's continue, folks, and hear more about this encounter because it's truly startling and maybe even shows that these entities are more than just animals. When we got back into the field, we noticed there were 4 or more of these creatures, one on each corner of the field, just standing there. We saw one move halfway behind a tree. At this point, we were freaking out. We made our way through the field and reached the edge, and there was one standing directly in the middle of the trail leading into the woods. We hauled butt back home, and the whole way we felt like we were being watched and stalked. We have been out every night since then. We have learned not to use lights because they come closer than 60 yards. The closest it came, it has been to me, was maybe 25 yards, and it was moving closer. At that point, I shot at it. There were 5 total that we saw the first night, and after I shot at one, we went out last night, and there were only 4 of them, and they seemed more aggressive in the field. It seems they tried herding us into a corner. You can believe this or not, but I am in the Michigan National Guard, and I put what I saw on my warrior ethos and U.S. Army values M. Now, M saw these aggressive dogmen, folks. In fact, they seemed like they were hurting these men, perhaps in an effort to basically get them in place to perhaps attack them, maybe even to feed on them, perhaps. I don't know. They are dogmen, folks, and they give, the impression of basically werewolves. And when you think of werewolves, you think of them eating people. But their behavior is quite different from basically the account we read earlier with that woman almost on friendly terms with the coyote-like being that she met, folks. So why are they so different? Is it perhaps they're different species? I mean, after all, she saw an upright coyote, and these were, more wolf-like at the very least, folks. And their behavior reminds me of Bigfoot. Remember, one entity was seen going behind a tree as if hiding, which has been described in other Bigfoot accounts, folks. So that behavior is something I've seen before with hairy hominids and canine-like entities. So very, very interesting. But why is it that no one has ever been able to prove the existence of these beings, folks? Are they perhaps something more? Because we read in the first article, folks, that perhaps this entity was some sort of ultra-terrestrial or interdimensional, interloper. Perhaps maybe that explains why these entities are so elusive, folks. Maybe they can literally disappear, or basically this isn't the world, or basically the normal world they usually inhabit. Maybe they cross through some sort of portal into ours, and this is what is seen. We don't know. Maybe one day we will, though. Either way, we're at the end, folks, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure that the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.